ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀ ọmọ Oòduà dìde bọ́ sípò ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ. Ìwọ ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀. Àwa ọmọ Oòduà dìde bọ́ sí ipò ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ. Ìwọ ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀. Tó, mo kí yín bí ẹ ṣe ti ń darapọ̀ mọ́ wa kí a tún ya sáré pariwo síta torí pé tí a bá ń rí n tó ń lọ ní international tí Koikimedia ọ̀bá dẹ̀ ti lè gbé jáde, á jẹ́ pé iṣẹ́ wa ò tí ì jìnnà délẹ̀ nìyẹn. Mo kí wa bí ẹ ti ṣe ń wọlé. Èyí tí mo mú wá fún wa ní alẹ́ yìí, ó ṣe pàtàkì pé kí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá àti àwọn tí wọ́n bá wa súnmọ́ bàbá wa President Bola Tinubu kí wọ́n lè má sùn àsùnpara. Mo fi kíkí Elédùmarè mo fi ń kí wa bí ẹ ṣe ń wọlé lọ́tùn lósì. Mo kí yín pé ẹ káàbọ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí ìkànnì iléeṣẹ́ wa tí a mọ̀ sí Koikimedia, bringing the world closer to our doorsteps. Lórí ìkànnì náà ni a ti ń gbé gbogbo tó ń lọ àti bí campaign election tó ń súnmọ́ bọ̀, kí ọba Elédùmarè kó má jẹ́ kí àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá kí a lọ fi ohun tí ó tọ́ tó yẹ ká lọ fi ṣàwàdà, torí pé tí a bá sùn àsùnpara, àwọn tí wọ́n fẹ́ gba ìjọba lọ́wọ́ President Bola Tinubu ṣe nínú wọn máa wá dùn pé ìjẹ́ àwọn ti sọ fún wa pé àwọn ò ní kankan ṣe. Àwa dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé a ní nǹkan ṣe. Ìdí tí a ṣe gbọ́dọ̀ tiraka tó pọ̀ láti lè jẹ́ kí a rí àṣeyọrí nínú election ìdìbò tó ń bọ̀ láìpẹ́ tó dẹ̀ ti ń súnmọ́. Mo kí ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa, mo fi kíkí ọlá kíkí Elédùmarè mo fi ń kí wa. Ṣé dáadáa ni a tún pàdéra wa lénìí? Tó bá ti jẹ́ pé dáadáa ni, tó àfi kí a máa dúpẹ́ fún bàbá wa ọlọ́lá jùlọ President Tinubu, torí pé ẹni tó bá ti dé ipò tí bàbá yẹn dé, èèyàn gbọ́dọ̀ mọ̀ pé kò ń ṣe ojú lásán, ohun Elédùmarè ló ṣe jẹ́ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Ẹni tó bá wá ń tako bàbá yẹn, ìwọ àti bàbá God lẹ́jọ́ máa lọ máa sọ̀rọ̀, torí pé bàbá God tó fi aṣíwájú síbẹ̀, wọ́n mọ reason tí wọ́n ṣe fi aṣíwájú síbẹ̀ for now. Àmọ́ àwọn ẹ̀yà kan sọ pé àwọn ò fẹ́ aṣíwájú, so tó bá di election tó ń bọ̀, gbogbo tó bá gbà àwọn máa yọ aṣíwájú kúrò lórí oyè. Àwa dẹ̀ fi ń yé wọn pé gbogbo tó bá gbà náà ni àwa náà máa sọ fún àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá pé aṣíwájú kò gbọ́dọ̀ kúrò lórí oyè yẹn, continuity ó gbọ́dọ̀ ṣẹlẹ̀. I have about just 60 minutes to present this, and I welcome you. It's exactly 11 minutes past 2300 hours. That is the 24 hours clock. Please share the program because I have brought a good news. Especially, this is the platform that presents the international news in line with what is happening in Nigeria. So tonight, many of you must have heard about it, or kí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ yín má tẹ̀ tí gbọ́ rárá. Ìdí tí mo ṣe mú wá fún wa ní yàjóyàjó. So bí ẹ̀yin bá ti ṣe wá ń rí program yìí, ó ṣe pàtàkì pé kí ẹ bá wa pín. Màá fi ooru fi 60 minutes tí bá ṣe tán màá bọ́ sí balùwẹ̀ torí mo fẹ́ jẹ́ kí echo fan yẹn kó pọ̀ púpọ̀ láti lè jẹ́ kí ẹ gbọ́n tí mo fi mú wá lálẹ́ yìí. Mo kí Professor Adébánjí Akíntóyè, bàbá dáadáa, the alànà of Yorùbá land. Mo fi bàbá Akíntóyè mo fi lọ kí gbogbo àwọn ọba ilẹ̀ káàárọ̀ òjíire. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mo kí ìyá tó bí mi lọ́mọ, kọ́lọ́run fi ọ̀run kẹ́yà náà gbogbo ibikíbi tó bá wà, àti bàbá tí ó bí mi náà sáyé, kọ́lọ́run bá mi fọ̀run kẹ́ gbogbo wọn. Kí ni mo mú wá fún ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa lálẹ́ yìí? Torí pé tí bá ní kí n sọ dọ̀la, ó ṣeé ṣe pé ọ̀la tún lè lọ pẹ́. In tó bá dẹ̀ ti confam, èèyàn gbọ́dọ̀ tètè wá mú jáde. Tí ẹ bá lọ wo àkọlé ètò talẹ́ yìí tí mo mú wá fún ẹ̀yin ọmọ Oòduà, àwa ọmọ ìran ọmọ aládé, in tó wà extremely important, ó ṣe pàtàkì, ó wà very very important pé kẹ́yìn náà àwọn tó bá súnmọ́ President Tinubu kó bá mi pass message fún wọn. Mo dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé àwọn bàbá wa lókè àwọn máa gbọ́ ohùn mi. Bàbá wa Ọọ̀ni òrìṣà kábíyèsí, bàbá wa láàfin, bàbá wa olúgbọ́n, bàbá wa Akiolú, ọba Bàrígà, bàbá Láké, Olúpotì, Ajérò, títí dé Oǹdó, títí dé Kábà, títí dé gbogbo ibi tí a ní àwọn ọba sí. Mo sọ fún wa ní ìjẹta pé mo gbọ́ news pé Trump ó sá kúrò ní Turkey, but mo ò mú confirmation ẹ̀ wálẹ̀ dáadáa. Mo lè sọ fún wa ní alẹ́ yìí, mo lè jẹ́ kí ó yé wa pé lóòótọ́ ni o, pé wọ́n fẹ́ pa President Trump. Àwọn ìjà tó ń lọ láàárín Trump àti Iran. Lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí, èní ní 12th of August 2026 láti iléeṣẹ́ wa ní studio wa ní London ni ìròyìn yìí ti ń jáde. Koikimedia bringing the world closer to your doorstep. In tó bá ń lọ lágbàáyé, orí ìkànnì yìí lẹ ti máa gbọ́. Orí ìkànnì yìí nìkan lẹ ti máa mọ tó ń lọ lágbàáyé. Mo ti kí àwọn bàbá wa síwájú, bọ́ torí pé rìkọ́dìnì ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ni, màá tún kí wọn lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí i. Mo kí Professor Adébánjí Akíntóyè, Kẹ́mi Ọláògùn, kọ́lọ́run jẹ́ ká rí bàbá pẹ́pẹ́pẹ́. Mo wá lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ mo kí gbogbo àwọn ọba wa. Mo lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ mo kí President Tinubu àti gbogbo àwọn gómìnà wa. Mo kí ìyá tó bí mi lọ́mọ àti bàbá, kọ́lọ́run bá mi fọ̀run kẹ́ àwọn méjèèjì. Mo fi gbà wá lásìkò púpọ̀ torí broadcast yìí mo gbọ́dọ̀ parí ẹ̀ at exactly before 12 midnight. A dẹ̀ ti wà ní exactly 60 minutes past 11 p.m. Èní ní 12th of August. Ẹ̀yin tí ẹ bá láǹfààní àti gbọ́ ọ́díò yìí, fídíò ẹ̀ wà, ẹ lọ sórí YouTube. Ẹ má download fídíò mi, ẹ bá lórí YouTube wa, ẹ bá lórí TikTok, ẹ bá lórí Instagram, ẹ bá lórí Facebook. Ẹ lè lọ wo fídíò yẹn níbẹ̀. Let's go straight to it. Mo máa sọ òyìnbó, mo dẹ̀ máa sọ Yorùbá because Yorùbá ní kọ́kọ́ ni mo fẹ́ bá sọ̀rọ̀, but Yorùbá ni mo fẹ́ jẹ́ kó ronú. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí bàbá wa Ògúndé ṣe sọ, Yorùbá ronú o. Gbogbo alamọ bó ṣe kọrin yẹn, mo ní láti máa kéwì ẹ̀ jáde. Mo padà lọ sí inú Google tó ń pè ní Ifá láti lọ confirm pé ṣé news tí mo kọ rí briefly nípa Donald Trump nígbà tí mo gbọ́ pé ó sá kúrò ní Turkey látara pé wọ́n rí àpẹẹrẹ, wọ́n rí traces pé ó ṣeé ṣe kí wọ́n àtáàkì Trump mọ́ Turkey àbí tó bá máa gbéra níbẹ̀. ẹ̀yin náà lè ṣe the same thing. Tẹ́ bá type in nínú Google Trump came to UK from Turkey, ó máa gbé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ information jáde. In tó bá ti múyàn rí news nínú the New York Times, news yẹn ó wà confirmed. In tó bá ti rí ẹ ní news yẹn nínú BBC, news yẹn ó wà confirmed. The Guardian kò ń ṣe ti Nàìjíríà, èyí tó ń operate ní UK, news yẹn ó wà confirmed, ó di mẹ́ta. Tẹ́ bá tún wá bá pàdé bí a lórí NBC, ó di mẹ́rin. Now, kí ni nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ gangan àti pé kí ló dé tí mo ṣe wá lo àkọlé ti tèmi náà? Tí mo pè ní, tẹ́ bá lọ wo àkọlé tí a fi sí ètò talẹ́ yìí, àkọlé yẹn dá lórí ààbò fún President Bola Ahmed Tinubu títí dìgbà tí a fi máa ṣe election ní next year. President Bola Tinubu must be protected at all costs before the 2027 election. Trump took off in a truck. Wọ́n nínú catering truck ni wọ́n gbé Trump pamọ́ sí, tó fi gbé wọnú another plane láti fi disguise, láti fi ṣe tí àwọn tí wọ́n mọ̀ nípa láti máa kẹ́ president pé tó bá rí fìrífìrí wàá fi ṣe camouflage. Òyìnbó tí mo wá nìyẹn, camouflage. Ẹ rí pé wọnú plane. So lọ́kàn yín inú plane ló wà, but wọ́n ti gbé sọ̀kalẹ̀, wọ́n ti gbé sínú another helicopter tó jẹ́ ti military. Now, let's go into it. News yẹn, just for us to confirm it together, BBC ni mo ti fẹ́ kà jáde, òun ní BBC, òun lélẹ́yìí. Gbogbo àná la máa ti máa rí plane Trump, that's the Air Force One. Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ àti pé kí ló ní ṣe pẹ̀lú President Tinubu tí a fi gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe ààbò? It must be protected from any kind of attack, from any kind of food poison, from anything that can take his life. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu must be protected. Couple of months back, either is allegation, whether it's rumor, but we heard that some individuals wanted to poison President Tinubu in Aso Rock. I'm sure many of you must have heard the same news as well. Mambo. Mokiwale and Konsi. Please share the program. Tabaranti, it was like going to be a food poison. But like I said, the presidency dismissed it. I've typed that on Google. The Nigerian presidency official dismissed rumors that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was a victim of food poison, or that a member of the Aso Rock kitchen staff was arrested for attempting to poison him. According to the presidential spokesperson, Bayo Ononuga and Temitope Ajayi categorically labeled the circulating social media video report as fake news and entirely fabricated. Authority urged the public to disregard unverified claim. So let's assume, let's believe that according to the presidency, the food poison allegation, the food poison information was a fake news. I will accept that. But notwithstanding, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu must be protected at all costs before the 2027 election. At all costs. They must make sure that nothing happened to him between now and the election. He must be protected. And the reason for that is, going back to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not just an ordinary human being. Is a man that has been given enough protection before he became the president. We saw that he was almost to be killed by Donald Trump multiple times. One ìbọn ìbọn ọ̀dọ́ọ̀dọ́ ẹ̀. lot of things happened before Trump became the president. Now, a second term campaign and election is coming as well in Nigeria. And we know that the enemies of Nigeria, the international, the local, and the cabals within Nigeria would do everything possibly within them to take out President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Because when President Tinubu is no longer there, then the show about election, the show about him being the next president for second term will be completely zero. You might ask, how do we know President Tinubu will become the second term president? Do we have a result already? No. Everybody will campaign. Atiku will campaign. Peter Obi will campaign. Sowore will campaign. Seyi Makinde will campaign. President Tinubu himself will campaign. But we will not sit back while we can feel the energy that is going on currently in Nigeria, where we have seen evidence. One confirmed is the military coup that failed. The military coup could have taken the life of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. God forbid that it never happened. If that coup was successful, there is probability of 98% that they will have killed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And the Yoruba people and the Nigerians at large, some will celebrate, some will be mourning, but from the southwest of the Yoruba land, it would have been a complete disaster. And the reason why the coup, according to the coup plotters, what we were told or what they told us, and I'm going back again to the Punch newspaper, the Premium Times Nigeria, and also the Vanguard. This was the headline less than 48 hours ago, 2 days ago. Nigeria was near collapse, according to the colonel that was part of the coup plotter. That is the reason why we wanted to kill and overthrow President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government. Punch newspaper, the headline. The Premium Times, why I plan coup against Tinubu, Colonel Maji. Colonel Maji is telling us the reason why he has planned a coup. Let me show you the face of the coup plotter. That is his face there. Those of you at Instagram, TikTok might not be able to say properly, but Walori, YouTube, and all other channel, that is the coup plotter. Only ebi ń pa Nigerians, ìyà ń jẹ yín, àwọn fẹ́ rescue yín lọ́wọ́ President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, àwọn fẹ́ gba òṣì kúrò lára yín, àwọn fẹ́ gba ìyà kúrò lára yín, àwọn fẹ́ gba ibi tó ń pa yín, iná tẹ́ẹ̀ní àti security, pé Nigeria ti collapse or is near to collapse, and they were ready to take out President Tinubu using not democracy that is not perfect, but is working, because Buhari make sure he used democracy for 8 years. Jonathan used it. Obasanjo used it. So, but now, there's no need for us to use democracy for President Tinubu. We might as well use the military coup and kick him out. That is what they are telling us. That there's no need for democracy. Democracy that is not working. Why should we keep democracy? Let's use the power of the AK-47 and the military might that has been infiltrated to kick Tinubu out of office and take over. But àwọn alálẹ̀ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá wọ́n allow kí kíní yẹn kó wà successful. Jésù tí àwọn kan ń pè kò jẹ́ kí kíní yẹn kó wà successful. Ànábì Muhammad tí Tinubu gan sìn kò jẹ́ kó wà successful. Àwọn ọba wa ṣe ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àdúrà àti ètùtù kò jẹ́ kó wà successful. Ó jẹ́ ká dúpẹ́ fún àwọn kábíyèsí wa. Because if that coup was successful, we will be in a different picture tonight. This is why I am putting out this message in 12 August 2026 from my studio in London, that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's life must be protected at all costs, either through any kind of attack, in Abuja, either through any plane flying over Aso Rock, because we also know that there was evidence that there were some planes that were flying across Aso Rock. You dare not do the same thing in the White House, not even number 10 Downing Street. No plane must fly around even the Buckingham Palace. And I can tell you that there's evidence to that as well. Abuja plane over Aso Rock. Why was there a plane over Aso Rock? Again, these are things that we must continue to tell those that are trying anything to be extremely careful. The aircraft that flew over the restricted airspace of the presidential villa at Aso Rock, Abuja, was a commercial flight forced off its path by severe weather condition. Ọmọ Yorùbá, mò ń pariwo nísìn, mò ń sọ̀rọ̀. Ẹni kí ni mò ń sọ? Ẹni ṣé Tinubu ti gbówó fún wa? Ẹni ṣé Tinubu ló kàn? Àbí ká máa pariwo Yorùbá nation? Nígbà tó bá ti mẹ́mí President Tinubu lọ, kọ́lọ̀ ń jẹ́ ká rí Yorùbá nation yẹn gbà. Mò ń bèrè ni o. I want us to think this is a very critical time in Nigeria democracy, in the history of Nigeria, that a Yoruba man, a Nigerian, is the president, but there are some elements of people within Nigeria and outside Nigeria that are doing everything within their power to make sure that Tinubu government failed and Tinubu government do not even attempt to make it to 2027. And this is why I go back again to Donald Trump. Before Trump became the president, his life was at risk. Remember that Trump was coming back for second term. People and many people do not want Donald Trump to become the president of the America, and they wanted to kill him. That failed. Trump has now become the president. But even though that President Trump is the president as at today, with all his security that travels with him every time he's going to one country to the other, his life is still at risk. So don't come and argue with me that how do I know that the life of President Tinubu is at risk? It's just common sense. It's just bringing 1 + 1 or 4 + 4 is equals to 8. Because if the most important and influential man in the earth today, which is Donald Trump, because Donald Trump, as either good or bad or ugly, is a very influenced person in today's world. But do you know, Injegbo, let me now brief you, that something happened to Trump according to the report that I'm going to give you now, that they actually have to move him from the well-secured Air Force One. I don't meaning Air Force One. Air Force One is the most well-secured presidential aircraft. Is the well-secured presidential aircraft, yet they were able to still move Trump out of it in a camouflage, according to the news that I'm going to read, in a catering truck, and move him to another military aircraft that flew him out of Turkey. Why? Or what makes you now think that the life of Tinubu, that is aspiring to become the second-term president, with all the evidence that we have seen, more attack on our military? 2 days ago, I said the news is in my broadcast this morning. According to English Alaji, 8 or 10 police officers were killed by the terrorists known as AKA bandits. Now, let's go into the news according to the BBC. Donald Trump was eating, or let me use the way they put out, Trump hid in a catering truck in a secret plane swap over Iran threat, report says. Now, let me explain what I have just said. Trump literally had no reason than to run for his life, because his life is now at stake. Kí ló dé tí life ẹ̀ wà at stake? Because they must have got intelligent, that Iran might attack a well-secured Air Force One. They must have had report or information that even though the aircraft can withstand anything, it is still better not to take any risk. So, in as much as there is no risk to President Tinubu's life right now, but we must also remind them in the presidency to now increase the bar of security surrounding President Tinubu until after the election and even after the election, because he is the current sitting president. Hate him, like him, call him all kind of names, call him different kind of whatever. He is the sitting president and he wants to contest again, and his life must be protected at all cost. His life must be protected at all cost. And this is the reason why I am putting this out today, so that if anybody thinks that they will plan anything and they will be successful, they would have already put all the measures in place to protect the sitting president. Because Donald Trump is a sitting president and his life is still at risk. He's not contesting. Now, let's read the article according to the BBC. Koikimedia, bringing the world closer to your doorstep. Trump hide in a catering truck. Fẹ́yìntẹ́ gbọ́yìnbó, wọ́n gbé Donald Trump, ìyẹn President America, wọ́n gbé sínú ibi tí wọ́n ń kó oúnjẹ sí, ìyẹn catering truck, láti fi gbé wálẹ̀ kúrò nínú plane, láti gbé sínú another plane. Wọ́n pè ní swap, because there is a risk to his life. 11:34 p.m. London, Koikimedia. Now, let's go through it. This is the video that I have with me. Let's first watch the video and then...
Why did Donald Trump secretly switch planes?
Now, this is the BBC reporting this now. And let us hear the way the journalist, Paul Adams, is a diplomatic correspondent, just as Koikimedia is doing everything within the little resources to keep you posted, to keep you informed, educate you, and fáwa Yorùbá kí a má fi gbogbo ara sùn títí tí election yẹn máa fi dé. Torí pé even the threat to the southwest is now higher than before, because àwọn ẹ̀yà kejì ní àwọn ò ní gbà, àwọn máa dá gbogbo ilẹ̀ Yorùbá rú. Ọ̀rọ̀ tí mò ń sọ ti yé yín, ọ̀rọ̀ tí mò ń sọ ó yé ẹ̀yin tí mò ń bá sọ̀rọ̀. Àwọn ẹ̀yà kejì wọ́n ní àwọn ò ní gbà ní election tó ń bọ̀ yìí. Ó wà lórí TikTok video wọn tó ti ṣe, ó wà lórí space wọn tó ti sọ̀rọ̀. Wọ́n ní gbogbo tó bá gbà pátá làwọn máa ṣe fún ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ìntàwá dẹ̀ ń sọ fáwọn èèyàn wa ni pé ẹ ṣáà máa sún àsùnpara, kólúkálukú mọ in tó ń lọ ní agbègbè ẹ̀. Lọ darapọ̀ mọ́ ẹgbẹ́ ìrù ẹkùn. Tó bá fẹ́ ìrù ẹkùn, lọ darapọ̀ mọ́ ti bàbá Gani Adams, OPC, àbí ti New Era. Tó bá wá fẹ́ OPC, lọ darapọ̀ mọ́ ẹgbẹ́ Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn àbí Àgbẹ̀kọ̀yà. But èyí tó jẹ́ bábánbárí ẹ̀ tó dájú, òun náà ni pé lọ darapọ̀ mọ́ ẹgbẹ́ ìrù ẹkùn. Máa dé méjèèjì bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn. Ó yẹ nísìn, lọ darapọ̀ mọ́ ẹgbẹ́ ìrù ẹkùn. Torí pé ìrù ẹkùn kò ṣe fi lé ajá lọ́wọ́. Ajá tó bá dánwò yóò fẹ̀jẹ̀ wẹ̀ ni. Bá ṣe máa dí pẹ̀lú bandit ọ̀tọ̀. Àwọn tinúlé state police máa wáyé tí President Tinubu máa ṣe announcement láìpẹ́ tí mo mọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀. Ọlọ́pàá wá ṣe ààbò fún wa. Àwa náà máa fún ọlọ́pàá ní information. Àwa ẹgbẹ́ ìrù ẹkùn tá wà nínú ilé, torí àwọn ẹ̀yà kejì àti àwọn agbésùmọ̀mí tó ti wà nínú ilé. Òyìnbó ní see it, tó bá ti fojú ẹ rí, say it. Ìwọ fẹnu sọ síta, wà wá rí pé ó máa wà sorted. Lábẹ́ ìjọba Tinubu yìí, ilẹ̀ Yorùbá a máa fọ gbogbo security yẹn, ó máa mọ́ dáadáa. Tẹ́ máa sùn tí wàá máa sọ pé àgbúrò nǹkan kan. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ló ṣe máa rí láṣẹ Èdùmàrè. Let's now listen to Paul Adams, a diplomatic correspondent for the BBC. Torí pé lóòótọ́, you believe me, but we always believe the white people against your own people. ẹlòmíì ò tí ì lè gbà pé Koiki tó ń sọ yìí òtítọ́ ni, torí Yorùbá nation nìkan ló fẹ́ kí n máa sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí bí ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ Tinubu àti election, ìyẹn kò kàn wọ́n, kò wà interested. So that means pé ẹ̀ ń dúró kí òyìnbó wá sọ fún yín pé a máa gba Yorùbá nation àbí kí Tinubu continue. Let me tell you, the Western always go with their interest, and I believe that they will put their weight behind President Tinubu, because when Buhari was in power, nobody was able to attack the terrorists inside Nigeria. In the history of Nigeria as a sovereign nation, Donald Trump was given a green light by President Bola Tinubu to go after the criminal bandits. And do you know where the attack took place on a December? A Christmas gift. Not just for Christian, but for Muslim and for humanity. The attack actually took place in Sokoto, where we know that a lot of the head of the bandits, aka terrorists, are residing. We don't know that before, but Donald Trump gave the green light after President Tinubu gave the approval and said, yes, you might say that Donald Trump did not take approval from Tinubu. They joke. Whatever happened behind closed door, nobody knows until history will come and tell us when they release those kind of archive in another 50 years. Let's listen to Paul Adams that made it known that Donald Trump was literally rescued, hidden in a catering truck from the well-secured Air Force One. Koikimedia.
Did Donald Trump secretly switch planes by concealing himself in a catering truck? Here's what the U.S. media is saying.
Let me rewind it again.
Why did Donald Trump secretly switch planes by concealing himself in a catering truck? Here's what the U.S. media is saying. The U.S. president was due to return from a NATO summit in Turkey when, according to American officials, Iran made a threat to his life. Here we see Trump boarding Air Force One in Ankara. Media reports say he then got into this elevated catering truck and transferred to another aircraft, a modified Boeing 757 often used by the vice president. Meanwhile, journalists and some White House staff board Air Force One. Both planes then took off. The next time we see Trump is in the UK, disembarking Air Force One after being smuggled back onto that plane away from the cameras. He then crosses the runway and boards the newer version of Air Force One, the one controversially donated by Qatar, before flying back to the US. While on board that plane, journalists had some questions about their journey.
Do you know why they had us close our window blinds this year? Probably on a dangerous way. It is very close by, but if they did, I would have done it.
We now know that's because he was on a completely different plane. The White House hasn't yet responded to questions about this, but here's what Trump said on the final leg home.
Were you aware of any credible threat by Iran against Air Force
I have
One?
a threat all the time.
I have a threat all the time.
But if I go, you go.
The Iranians haven't commented about this.
I
either,
have
but
a
last
threat
night,
all the time. Now, we have literally had the confirmation. The question now is, 2027 is getting closer. The enemies of President Tinubu wants to make sure that he might not even survive 2027. You might say how? Well, evidence showed that the coup was one of it. Let's now go back to the coup plotters. Ẹ jẹ́ ká padà sọ́dọ̀ àwọn coup plotters quickly before we wind down the broadcast. According to Colonel Maji, who is Colonel Maji? I'm sure he's another Fulani man that never had a primary school certificate, never had a secondary school certificate, but he was given Nigeria military uniform, invested heavily on him, well-trained in many countries around the world, and yet he believed that a democratic government must be removed because Nigerians are complaining about being power, according to the report. Now, let's read a little bit from it. I plan, only me, I plan, not me. I'm talking about this man. This man, this Olojukororo, this man, we know they look. This is the coup plotter, one of them. Some of them are still on the run. They've left Nigeria, those that finance it. They've run out of Nigeria. Ọwọ́ máa tẹ gbogbo yín láìpẹ́ lágbára Elédùmarè. Why I plan the coup against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Colonel Maji. It would be nice to even have a background of who he is, studying Colonel Maji. It would be nice for us to have at least a bit of background. Let's see if we can get anything out of him. Let's see. His name is Colonel Mohammed Maji, spelled M-A-A-G-I. Mohammed Maji. He is a senior Nigerian Army infantry officer, identified as the central mastermind, strategist, and financier of a foil coup plot against the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The key details of the incident, the plot, the coup was orchestrated to take place around October 2025. So we would have been mourning, or we would have been in a situation where all our governors will be now controlled by a military, administrator. But that failed. Adúpẹ́ f'Elédùmarè. According to Defense Headquarters officially confirmed the plot in January, even though we all knew as of December that the coup was already failed, but the government could not hide it. It would have been difficult for the government to have hidden such a magnitude to say pé coup ò ṣẹlẹ̀ when evidence was pointing that there was a coup. But in January this year, 2026, the Nigerian Defense Headquarters officially confirmed the plot and naming Colonel Mohammed Maji at the top of an indictment list containing 16 military officers. All these 16 military officers are all northerners. Very good, is it? That the North protected Buhari for 8 years. Whether his government failed or it did not fail, but they did not see it as helping Nigerians to kick him out using a military coup. But it is in the interest of Yoruba people, Igbo people, Hausa people, and all Nigerians that they can help us to kick Tinubu out using a military coup rather than using the ballot box. The arrest intelligence officer lured Mohammed Maji to Niger barracks under the false pretext of addressing his stalled promotion. He was immediately detained and transferred to the Defense Intelligence Agency. Now, what is the motive? In a statement released during his ongoing legal proceeding, Colonel Mohammed Maji, the coup plotter, the coup strategist, claimed he acted out of patriotism and frustration over economic hardship. Yoruba people, especially. Ebi o, ebi ń pa wá o, President Tinubu, ebi ń pa wá, rice ti di 80,000 naira, gàrí ti di 40,000 naira, epo ti lọ sókè, ẹ ti yọ subsidy. Ṣèbáwa Yorùbá ẹ̀ náà ni. Àwa la fún wọn ní motivation pé kó lọ ṣe coup láti yọ ọmọ Yorùbá tó wà níbẹ̀, so that we can be satisfied that he's no longer the president. But that failed, and we give thanks to the gods of Yoruba land. Only out of patriotism, òun nífẹ̀ẹ́ Nigeria, a Fulani man, ó nífẹ̀ẹ́ Nigeria, yet the late Buhari took billions of Nigerian currency and billions of dollars and went and invested in Niger. I talked about it this morning, and we will continue to highlight it again. Scope and logistics. Security source reported that Mohammed Maji built a cross-service network across the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. He personally financed the early stages of the operation, conducting surveillance on critical state infrastructure, including the presidential villa. Maybe they could have blown the presidential villa. Maybe they could have killed many Yoruba people that would have working there and the other Nigerians as well. Imagine the Aso Rock is completely on fire. I'm sure you'll be happy, right? Yeah, you'll be happy. But the military will be the one running the show, not a civilian. Your constitution will be brought down. The same constitution that they gave us that is fake, they will bring it down, and they will now tell the international community that give us another 4 years or 3 years, we will return it back to democracy. And that means Atipada Sijoba Ologun again. This man, Muhammad Maji, is not that old. Is like, because most of them are not interested in education as the Southwest people. Most of them were forced into being a military officer, and from there they increase their rank, and they become colonel, general, blah, blah, blah. He was actually born on the 1st of March, 1976. Ọmọ 1976 ni ẹni tó fẹ́ yọ Tinubu kúrò lórí oyè. Ó nítorí pé patriotism, nítorí pé ebi ń pa yín, àti pé hardship tó wà nínú Nigeria. Education, member of the 47 regular course. Ó tán. No primary education, no secondary education, no university education. And look at Yoruba people, well educated. And we've been allowed to be used for years and years and years, just as they used the late MK Abiola and dumped him after he won a free and fair election. But this time around, they don't even want Tinubu to continue. They want to kick him out. They cannot withstand him. They're already frustrated. Muhammad Maji and his co-defendant are currently undergoing a court-martial and high court trial in Abuja, and I hope the law will do whatever is needed for them. Just to round up the broadcast this evening, let's go back again to Muhammadu Buhari. Buhari has died, but his legacy of investing in Niger will be well appreciated by those in that country. Remember, it's not Niger State. Niger State is part of Nigeria. Niger is an independent sovereign nation. They've kicked out the civilian government there, is now under a military as we speak today. But I have told you, and I'm repeating it again, Buhari first took $1.96 billion loan, money from Nigerian government, and gave it to put a rail, 284-kilometer standard gauge rail line from Kano State straight into Maradi in Niger Republic. That money would have been helpful for Anambra, Enugu, for Benue, for Benin, Jos, Oyo, Ogun. But no, the money is well needed in Niger. Nigerians don't need money. Do you need money? No, you don't need money. I need a owner. Apart from the $1.96 billion, I'm going to be repeating the figure because continuously. I want you to know the figure off head. So if anybody wake you up, you can easily say, yes, Koikimedia confirmed that Buhari took $1.96 billion and dumped it to Niger. Whether they completed the project, I don't know. The whole contract was given to a Portuguese company, not even a Nigerian company, because you are not worth it to be given a contract from Buhari to Igbo people, to Yoruba people, to Hausa people, and all hard-working engineers in Nigeria. You are not worth it, according to Buhari. Why will I give you the contract? I'm sure you will say, but Tinubu does the same thing. He has given contract out of Nigeria. But at least the contract is still within Nigeria. They are putting it in Nigeria. He has not putting it to another country. But Buhari literally took our money and dumped it in Niger Republic for them to use it for their purpose. The next money was in 2018. Not a lot of money, but almost as close to the first one. A little bit more than the first one. $2 billion. Buhari dumped it again and say, for hydrocarbon and pipeline refinery. Imagine. Apart from that, Buhari said, I think you would need a car. You need good road. Let me put more money there. The administration also put 1.14 billion naira to buy vehicles and security gadgets that Nigerian soldiers were lacking, or the one that they allocated to them that was stolen by the crooked military personnel that never equipped the Nigerian soldiers to fight back the bandit. May the soul of Tolulokpa Rotile continue to rest in peace. Amen. And all the fallen heroes that were killed because they were not given the right equipment. In the night, you need a night goggle to be able to see the distance before the enemy see you. You need a helicopter to support you. You need this, you need that. But literally, all the money that they were allocating for Nigerian security were ending up in different pockets of criminal politicians and criminal Nigerian military that use it for their own personal gain. This is where we're going to end it tonight. Once again, my name is OLAYOMI KOIKI. Just for your record purpose, let us put it there that President Tinubu's life must be protected round the clock. Have a very good night. God bless President Tinubu. God bless Yoruba land. And God bless all our kings. Èmi ọmọ yín náà ni, mo ní 4 + 4 is equals to 8. Tinubu will return back and continue from wherever he has stopped in the first tenure. Good night. Bye for now.